Breaking news out of Florida. And no, some Florida man did not just eat a live alligator while driving 70 miles an hour down I-75, but something even more surprising. Oh, yeah, no, not Ron DeSantis saying something fairly intelligent. Even more surprising than that, Aileen Cannon, the most zealously biased, least competent judge in the federal court system, has just done the right thing. I'll give you a second to get back in your chair. Yes, Aileen Cannon, the jurist whose every decision has not only been appealed, but laughed at and openly criticized by the appellate court. That Aileen Cannon, the judge who threw out the stolen documents case, the most open and shut case in the history of federal prosecutions. Cannon is a Trump appointee, and she has done nothing but protect Trump with every single decision she has ever made from the bench. She threw out the stolen documents case because the Supreme Court gave her cover with their ridiculous immunity decision. Trump's case in Florida was part of the reason for that decision. Trump was flat out going to jail over it, and the trial would have lasted all of 10 minutes. The Supreme Court decision paved the way for Cannon, and she did not hesitate to throw the case out, despite the fact that the crime Trump committed was post-presidency. He was no longer president when he took the documents. He was no longer president when he hid the documents. He was no longer president when he lied to the FBI as to their location. And he was no longer president when he instructed Mar-a-Lago employees to move the documents from one place to another in case there was an FBI raid. Guess what? There was a raid, and they found an enormous amount of classified documents that no doubt Trump was selling to the highest bidder. No doubt, but also at this point, no information documenting that. It probably is in Jack Smith's report, and that makes the report of special significance. But Cannon threw the case out. And one of the things that no one talks about anymore is why Cannon was left in charge of this case to begin with. Jack Smith could have tried to get another judge, but he didn't. He had a couple of legal options he could have pursued, but he was too worried that if he failed, he'd be stuck with a hostile judge. Really, Jack? Hostile? How about just plain out biased and incompetent? What did you have to lose? Trump and his lawyers have successfully run out the clock on Jack Smith, who had nothing left to do once the Supreme Court made their decision. So now all eyes are on Jack Smith's official special counsel report, a report that is legally stipulated under the special prosecutor law. And naturally, Trump's lawyers have been fighting vigorously to delay the report, knowing that once Trump is in office, they will just bury it. And so indeed, they went to their go-to girl, Aileen Cannon, to put an injunction on the report. And she was only too happy to comply. But now, a dramatic reversal. She has just cleared the way for Jack Smith's report to be released. The AP is reporting that the Justice Department can publicly release its investigative report on President-elect Donald Trump's 2020 election interference case. Judge Cannon ordered today for the release of the volume on Trump's 2020 election interference case. The AP is reporting that Cannon permitted the release of the volume on election interference, but she halted the Justice Department from immediately sharing with congressional officials a separate volume related to Trump's hoarding of classified documents at his Mar-a-Lago estate in Palm Beach, Florida. Lawyers for the Republican president-elect's two co-defendants, Trump valet Walt Nauta and Mar-a-Lago property manager Carlos de Oliveira, had argued that the release of the report would prejudice them, given that criminal proceedings remain ongoing against them in the form of a Justice Department appeal of Cannon's dismissal of charges. There is no reporting on why Cannon lifted her ban, except for the fact that she had no jurisdiction over the case and was once again going to be ridiculously overturned by the appellate court. But this speeds up the clock for the DOJ. And if Merrick Garland was an effective attorney general, he would be posting the report on the DOJ website now before there's a chance to file an injunction with the Supreme Court, which Trump's lawyers are certainly bound to do. This report is so important to the Justice Department that they were willing to negotiate with Cannon over the report on the case that she does have jurisdiction over, the confidential documents case. She's held that up on the pretense that it could prejudice other defendants on the case. That is basically an admission that Trump is guilty in the case that she just threw out. Everybody is scurrying now, and the information cannot come out fast enough. There is bound to be evidence that the J6 committee hearings did not disclose, and it will show the level of criminality that Trump engaged in. But the other reason this is significant is that it will consume Republican resources. They are now going to have to vociferously defend Trump, right when they are busy trying to defend his ridiculously unqualified cabinet appointments. Senate Republicans know that defending Trump will consume most, if not all, of their credibility. Now, having to defend Pete Hegseth and Tulsi Gabbard is just a bridge too far. It's not going to be a good look. Sure, we can expect legacy media to sane-wash the report, but there is going to be strong pushback and lots of recirculation of the information on social media. And meanwhile, the price of eggs and gasoline aren't going down anytime soon. That spells trouble for Trump. I'm Anthony Vincent Gallo for Occupy Democrats.